It has been 130 years since the arrival of Antonín Dvořák to America, so here the members of the St. Luke's Orchestra present their reflections on Antonín Dvořák.
I play viola with the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra, and I'm also principal violist with the Orchestra of St. Luke's here in New York City. And what I love about Dvořák's music is it's so human, and also that it's very rhythmic, and part of that had to do with the fact that he loved trains, but you hear a lot of rhythm in his music, and it's also lyrical and so much heart. And I feel that it's just very human music. For me personally, it's Slavic. My mother's family is Croatian, so I know that Slavic thing, and that's what I love about his music. It's very human, and it also speaks to my ethnicity.
Hi, I'm John Feeney. I'm the principal bass with the Orchestra of St. Luke's and the American Classical Orchestra, and a group called Opera Lafayette. And the first thing that I think of with Dvořák, I mean, aside from all of the great music that he wrote that I have access to, the Dvořák Bass Quintet is a particular high point. But I think of his influence on jazz and his school in New York, where he taught so many people of ethnic backgrounds. Harry S. Burleigh, the composer of Deep River, and Duke Ellington studied with one of Dvořák's students. And then you can see this influence harmonically on jazz of the 20th century. If you listen to Art Tatum, the great jazz pianist, play Dvořák's Humoresque, it's a life-changing experience. You hear this, you can just imagine how delighted Dvořák would have been. The other thing that I'll say is his influence extended past the United States jazz music and into Cuba. There is an incredible flautist from Cuba named Antonio Arcaño, and he had a group called Antonio Arcaño y sus Maravillas, and another called his Muñequitos de Matanzas. And they would play these beautiful arrangements which included strings and all these percussion instruments and the Latin jazz instruments. And then suddenly the strings would be playing quotes from the New World Symphony and other Dvořák works in such a charming way. So the arranger of those charts was Israel Lopez Cachao. Cachao is the inventor of the mambo, and a fantastic orchestrator and an incredible virtuoso double bassist. And he glommed on to Dvořák's music and infused these Cuban jazz club pieces with Dvořák themes. And it's just, you really have to look for it and listen to it. It's just one of the most delightful things ever. So thank you, Antonín.
Hi, I'm Alex Fortes, and I play violin in Orchestra of St. Luke's. Dvořák is one of my favorite composers, and one thing that I love about his music is that it combines this incredible lyricism with all of these ostinatos, or all these repeated figures that come from Czech folk music that make it feel very natural, very buoyant, and just absolutely enrapturing. And his connections to New York have always been felt, I think, in the musical culture of New York, that to this day, where he was 130 years ago, affected the musical culture in New York from his original conservatory life here into his trip to Iowa and so on.
My name is Dara Fitzgerald, and I am a cellist in the Orchestra of St. Luke's here in New York City. When I think of Dvořák, of course, in Americans, we all think of the New World Symphony. It's full of hope. But you see that, you hear that hope in almost every piece of music he's ever written. There's those beautiful little pieces with harmonium, and he has a way of composing great big pieces of music that also at the same time sound very intimate and very tender. And tender, that's a word I would use for him. Of course, being a cellist, you think of the Dvořák cello concerto, and that has everything in it, everything. And it's a joy to play that piece.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Mann. I'm the principal flutist of the Orchestra of St. Luke's, and I love Dvořák. Even though he didn't write chamber music for the flute, he wrote 9 symphonies with beautiful flute parts, particularly Dvořák 8. And I remember in high school playing this piece, and I thought, this is just the greatest melody I've ever heard. It's so colorful, really suits it well, very well for the flute. I wish he had written for chamber music, but he is one of my favorite composers to play in orchestra.
I'm Lindy Clark, and I'm a cellist with the Orchestra of St. Luke's. And there are so many reasons I love Dvořák. Starting with his wonderful cello concerto and moving through all of his string quartets, his piano quartet, the piano quintet. I've played chamber music all my life, and Dvořák, his string quartets, particularly the American String Quartet, were just some of the first pieces of chamber music that I performed and loved. And so it's just the wealth of music that he composed, and it's so grateful for the cello. It's perfectly written. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Brendan Elliott. I play violin, and I really love Dvořák. I first came across Dvořák when I was in high school. I went to public school, and my classmates, we wanted to play a Dvořák quartet. So we played the third movement of the American, and I had a great time. Harry Burleigh, who showed him a lot of the spirituals, another great composer. His Southland sketches for violin and piano are fantastic, and you can really see the inspiration that he had on Dvořák just from hearing Burleigh's music. So I love Dvořák so much, and hope I get to play him again soon.
So my name is Elizabeth Lim Dutton. I'm a violinist, Orchestra of St. Luke's. And Dvořák was also in Omaha, Nebraska, which is where I lived from age 6 to 14. And apparently everybody knows about Spillville, Iowa, but they do not know that he was also given a rousing welcome in Omaha, Nebraska in 1893, I believe it is. But in any case, his music, of course, is very special to all musicians. His melodies, his compositional style is always so much fun to play. And I am married to a violist who is 1/4 Czech. And of course, he loves to play all of Dvořák's chamber music. He wrote very well for the viola, as he did for all instruments. So I'm very happy to have a chance to speak about Dvořák, and thank you for letting me speak for this short interview.
Okay, my name is Myron Lutsky. I'm the principal cello here at the Orchestra of St. Luke's for Carramore right now. And as a cellist, of course, Dvořák's fantastic cello concerto. It's more than a concerto, it's really a symphony, in many ways. It's at the heart of our repertoire. And also the fact that Dvořák spent so much time here in New York and influenced so many people, also people of color, and trained people while he was here, made a lasting impression. And his impressions of this country also, like with New Earth Symphony, is something that's very unique and very special for us. So, and I was mentioning that I guess there was a commemoration of probably the statue that was erected to him quite a few years ago, a ceremony where people from Czech Republic were here, and we all celebrated together the wonderful contribution that Dvořák made to both music of the world and music of this country.